Hey guys, Ishmam here. The podcast you're about to hear is one we've been planning on having for a really long time. I personally was very excited to make this because we got to speak to Dr. Shakil Ahmed, who, alongside having some incredible credentials, is actually my father. I think I can speak for both Adib and Fardim when I say this was one of our most illuminating conversations. We got to view topics from two generational views, and also we had someone who was actually qualified in talking about the subjects we bring up. Speaking of qualifications, here's a brief introduction to my father. He is a professor of pediatrics in Dhaka Medical College. For those of you outside of Bangladesh, Dhaka Medical College is Bangladesh's largest hospital and medical college. Alongside this, he is also helping organizations like WHO tackle the global childhood tuberculosis problem and help guide policy there. Most importantly for us, he is also trained in sleep medicine from Stanford University. Being a pediatrician, he therefore has a unique interest in sleep disorders of children, adolescents, and young adults. And as we have attempted to fix our sleep in the month of December, and some of us have failed miserably, this felt like the perfect opportunity to have this conversation. So a few of the things we discuss: why do we spend so much of our lives sleeping? What are the advantages and disadvantages of being a night owl? Is waking up early in the morning really necessary? What is the melatonin cycle and why is it important? What effects do screens have on sleep? More importantly, why do millennials and zoomers stay up late to chat? Along with the answers to those questions, we get to hear some interesting anecdotes from my father's med school adventures. In any case, I hope you enjoy this conversation on sleep. I'll hand you off to younger Ishmam.
So I suppose we had a whole sleep episode. Um, as far as I know, my father watched the whole thing. He had lots to say about it to me personally. So for me, I guess we can start off with this, and maybe this would be an interesting thing. So for me, the fixing my sleep schedule was impossible in that whole 30-day period. I have been rather successful with all the other challenges that we have been doing. That was the one thing I had like a horrible hit rate in. I did 2 out of 30. And I don't know why. So maybe my father can give some insights into that. Adib and Fardim also struggled a bit in the beginning, but I think you guys caught up later. And I think it's a problem for our generation, and even maybe few other generations as well, where people are having a tougher time sleeping. And as my father said before, it's mostly because of screen time and using screens. And so, yeah, maybe let's just start off with that. Baba.
Do you have anything to say on these issues? Then I can go on.
Oh, please go on. I don't have much to say other than I'm very interested in what you have to say.
Actually, the sleep is an essential part of human life. And you see, we sleep like ribbon and winkle. That is, we sleep 20 years in our lifetime. If you place the sleep 1/3 of 8 hours sleep in a day. So if you live 60 years, it's 20 years of sleep time. And for this reason, it is said that if sleep is an essential part, otherwise nature would not make this spend the 1/3 of our life in the sleep time, where you are doing nothing. You're just away from the world, away from the all business what you are doing. You're playing your games, your study, your thinking, your gossiping, everything has gone at that time. So why such a long time is there? So the thing is that sleep actually makes your brain consolidated. Sleep makes your brain's connections more connecting. More neurons are connected during sleep time. sleep makes your body physiology different. So your wear and tear, which is going on, that makes a different thing. When you are awake, your sympathetic activity is very high. So you are alert, you're looking at surroundings. But when you are asleep, your parasympathetic activity, that is, which is opposite to that, that is the highlight thing. So for that reason, you need to have a good sleep time. Actually, the sleep time is what is said in the scientific literature is around 8 hours sleep time is the best sleep time. But for you guys, you see, how many hours do you sleep in a day? Pradim and Adib, I know about Ishmam. What is your sleep time? How much time do you sleep in a day? Adib?
Yeah, I'd say I'd sleep around 8+ hours, to be honest. I would sleep around 12 to 1 a.m. and then wake up 9 to 10ish. So that's been my sleep schedule. I don't sacrifice on sleep normally. Fadi?
That's right.
Yeah, same. I'm a ringta pori that measures my sleep, so I have a lot of data. And I would say, Jay, on most days it's 7 to 8 hours. On bad days it's 6 hours. 5 hours is the lower limit for me. I can barely function if I get 5 hours or less sleep.
Ishmam, do you have any data on your Fitbits?
Yeah, I do use a Fitbit. For me, I used to get around 7 to 9 hours of sleep. From what I have noticed, I function optimally if I get 9 hours of sleep. I do not function properly if I get 8 hours of sleep, like optimally. But I can get by with like around 6 hours of sleep, which is, I think, what I'm getting recently. So yeah, my brain's not working at its best at the moment.
So you guys are very, very interestingly, you guys are not like your generation. So you are sleeping the perfect time which you need to sleep. For that reason, probably you are making these videos and other things. Your productivity is high. So that's a good thing from your side. And that's another one thing. But you see, I was a night owl. When I was studying in the first year, second year, and third year, I used to, my friend used to find me that I'm sleeping in the evening, just after Maghrib prayer. I was sleeping with a lot of mosquitoes around me, but I used to cover my head with a blanket and go into sleep. And they found me when they are coming through my windows, they find that, yes, this is the guy which has gone out at, so I woke up at 9 p.m. and I used to study up to 3. Later on, again, but my awake time was always by 7. So you see, I was sleeping less hours. And the very first study that I have carried out in my medical life, 2 of my friends, me and another friend, was studying whole night on one piece of small vertebrae, cervical 1 vertebra, throughout the night. And we thought that we finished that. In the morning when we went to class, I found that I've forgotten most of the things which I have read. So you see, reading throughout the night or night owls are not always not the right way thing to do it. And in nature, you will find that all the animal kingdoms are sleeping early in the night and waking up early in the early morning. Then I changed my total scenario. Then I started, when I was in 4th year, I started sleeping at 10 to 11 and woke up at 6. And on that year, very interestingly, that I have gone through, there was an exam, 4th year final exam. That was a tough exam, one of the toughest exams in my time. But I haven't read the earlier time due to many other family and other reasons. For that period, that small period of time, I read only 1.5 months. And fortunately, I could cross that exam because I was reading just at the time. I was not sleeping, not having a long late night study. We both were doing these things and sleeping at 10, 11 p.m. and waking up at 6 and again starting that one. So that gave us really good thing. Then from that day, I found that reading throughout the night is not always a good thing. That doesn't give you a good brain, good concentration. You'll always look at the watch. Yes, it's 3 a.m. I'm studying up to 3 a.m. Oh, I'm doing a lot of things. Actually, the output will not be the same. And what Ishvam has just said, that when he sleeps an optimum time, that gives him a good way. And one more thing I used to tell Ishvam, that the early morning sleep, wake up, and early morning light has a very good impact on human life. And you'll find in the nature, in the religion, everywhere. In the religion, you see, every religion speaks that you get up in the early morning and pray in the early morning. Why? There must be some reason behind it. So that's the morning light, they call. Morning light is different because the globe is tilted, the earth is tilted at that time. The sun ray that is coming is a different sun ray. The light waves are different. When it goes into your brain, it starts the melatonin cycle. And that causes your daily circadian rhythm in a right way. And if I can show you one screen on this melatonin issue, just hold on a minute. Can you see the slide? Can you
I think you can full screen it.
Yeah, it's on full screen. So you see the AM light, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. light. So it's an early morning light. It's not that for the Adib is waking up at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. the light is gone. So it's causing the melatonin, and autophase means cell is cycling, and the melatonin controls the mitochondrial DNA, and it got you abundant of energy. Ishtam was just telling this one, that you get abundant of energy, and that it turns off that nuclear genome. So there is no disease. So in this way, this causes an enormous impact on the human life. So I'm just stopping it here. And let me show you this area. You see what reads the melatonin. You can see is blue light from cell phones, screens, TV, LED lights. So if you go through these lights, this ruins your melatonin cycle. It doesn't mean that you can't go with this, your TV, your study and other things are purpose. If these are purposeful, actually this is beneficial. But if it is only for recreational, for hours and hours together, as you have shown in your earlier episode on dopamine detox, that is a different thing. So early morning light is very important. So if you woke up early, if you can sleep early and woke up early, that will give you most benefits in sleep.
Right.
So if I can be the devil's advocate here, some people say that they sleep during the morning and then work during the night, and they have a consistent sleep schedule, which I think we haven't gotten into, but me and you have talked about it, and I think we also talked about it in the sleep episode, that having a consistent sleep cycle like sleep schedule is very, very important, mainly having a consistent wake up time. So if someone has, let's say, finds benefit in staying up late, like regularly, and studies late nights regularly, but like still gets 7 to 8 hours of sleep, however possible, would that be a bad thing?
Okay.
I also have one other thing to add, which was I read up on this, so I don't think we ever talked about this, but it might be an interesting thing to talk about, which is it was about the evolutionary need of having like night owls in humans. So basically, if everyone used to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time, they would have a higher threat from predators like eating them. So people would alternate. So there were some people who were better at staying up late and some people who were better at like staying up in the morning. And so this causes this sort of dichotomy between people who are better at like working at night and people who are better at working in the morning. I read this somewhere, I forgot where. So is there any scientific basis for that? And also like everything else that I mentioned.
Fine. So you see, the thing is that the Ishmael has just mentioned a wonderful question here, that this is called shift workers. And you see in industries, there are shift workers, 8 hours, 8 hours, and 8 hours, and they rotate. They rotate. But those are basically mechanical work. You see, the peoples are guarding in the very prehistoric time. Those are mechanical work. Those are not higher functional works. You are waking up, you are looking at a threat, and you are attacking that. You are taking other people's woke up that there is a threat. So those are basically, if you think of from the intellectual point of view, those are lower level of works. So I'm not talking about, I must not say that's lower or higher level. That's a level that doesn't involve much of reasoning, much of analysis. But if you go through book, if you read books, then it needs more analytic capacity. And that's where this probably acts. But the question Ishmael that raised, probably I have to go through a little bit more on text to find out the answer of these questions as well. So this is not very everything I can answer on this question. But for me, what I can say once again, that the night shift workers, you see, most of the night shift workers are not of higher intellectual workings. So that may be one thing. And the predatorial attack, that is interesting area of human in the nature. You see, the deer hen or the cow, they woke up earlier than lion and tiger, because they have to keep themselves safe, to graze in the ground, to have their meals. If lion is to wake up earlier and found the cow is sleeping, he'll easily catch that. So nature has made things in such a way that you woke up earlier, and humans are in between them. For that reason, human gets up a little bit later than others. So বাংলায় যেটা বললে, মুরগি কুকুরুক্কু করে অনেক আগে ভোরে, মানুষ ঘুম থেকে ওঠার আগেই। তোমরা গ্রামে শুনেছো কিনা জানি না, whether you have visited village, that you have found out the chickens are shouting in the very early in the morning. Ishmael has gone, I think, whether Ishmael recalls that. So you see, this is the nature, and the cow and other things which make sounds in very early in the morning. So sleep is like that.
I just had a question.
Go
ahead. Acha. So in regards to what you were, so interesting anecdotes on the nature stuff. That was super cool. But I had this question regarding cell phones and how they're disrupting our melatonin cycle. So would you say using your cell phone or any sort of screen that emits blue light, would it be more disruptive after you wake up in the first few hours of the day, say around, let's say you wake up at 10 and then 11, 12, or is it worse at night?
Well, again, I have to go through exact literature, but in early in the morning, in the first hour of life, it's better to avoid those stuffs. That will give you more energy because your melatonin cycle will be activated at that time. And you see, you don't need a cell phone to see, or mobile to see, or your computer to see for a long time in the early morning when you are getting ready for your daytime work, or you are having an exercise, or you're having a breakfast, or things like that. You don't need to see it for a long time. If you go after 10 or 11, then probably it doesn't affect, it will not affect. But again, for exact reference, I need to go back to the literature, and if I find anything, I'll add it to you later on. And if you can edit it when you are editing this episode.
Yeah.
So my question. Now let me ask my question for your generation. But I found that it's natural that adolescents and young adults sleep later and woke up later. It's all over there are a lot of studies in USA. What about your feelings? Why do you go sleep late? Not for that, somebody who's working for that, but naturally, do you find your generation is sleeping late? And why they do that?
Yeah, I can go on this one. So it's funny that you mentioned it. People will stay up late. They're tired. They have a meeting in the morning. They have no reason to stay up late, but they will stay up late for absolutely no reason. But I think personally for me, it has a lot to do with. I think culturally we're at a point where people have forgotten how to be bored. So just laying in bed, I'm like, oh, I don't have anything to do, when my entire day is filled with stimulation, right? So as soon as I feel bored, I can go on Twitter. As soon as I feel bored, I can check my email. And then you need to be bored and like you said, go into that parasympathetic nervous system state to actually transition into sleep. But since you're not trained to do that, more people just, you have this device that gives you that feeling of distraction, and you just continuously go to that. I think that's what people are, distracted by. I don't think anyone, I spoke to a lot of people, and all of them say that they would like to go to bed earlier. They would like to wake up earlier, but it's just that like none of the environment is conducive to that behavior.
Yeah. I think we'd mentioned this on a previous episode, just to put my thoughts in there. In the sleep episode, Fardim had brought up a really cool article about taking revenge on your day, which was like where, if say for my age group, if I'm going to university, I don't like the courses I'm doing, I don't like being in uni. At the end of the day, I want me time. And what is me time? Me time is watching a show. Me time is going through Instagram. Again, coming back to the blue light sources that you were mentioning. So that is one reason. Another reason, which I've heard from other people, and sometimes I think is a valid reason, is because at night there's just this mental shift where you feel like there are no expectations of you. At night, things are silent, things are calm. You are with yourself, you're alone. I personally do have moments where I just like to sit at night, maybe not really do anything, but just sit there with my thoughts, because I feel like the world is quiet. I don't have to give anything to anyone. I'm just there. Sort of like metaphysical type stuff. Ishmael, what are your thoughts?
So it's funny you mentioned the silence, because that is exactly what I wrote down on my notes. So it's very interesting because there's two perspectives here, I'd say. One is what Fardim mentioned, and for myself. One's what Fardim mentioned, and one is what Atib mentioned. So when I was younger, it was more because I wanted that silence. This is something new that I found out about myself, but I'm sort of extroverted. So I like talking to people a lot and all of these things. and then at night there would be no people, so I can't talk to anyone. And at that point I had nothing to do but work. And so that's when I found it very easy to work, because of like what Adi mentioned, the silence. So working, writing, just like having my thoughts go through my brain, it felt easier at that time. Whereas in the morning, everything was so hectic, everything was busy. There's so many people, there's so much interaction, like there's noise in the house. So just having a lack of that at night was very helpful. But I think that was more so when I lived in Bangladesh. When I've come here, it has sort of almost become something that Fardi mentioned, where it's just me not being able to sit bored. Because if I meditate late at night, I'm usually so tired that I'll fall asleep like instantly. But now, like, I think that's the bad thing. But I think what I used to do before was actually good, because I needed that sort of alone time to think about things and stuff like that. Another interesting thing, I guess two more things that I have written down. One of the things that I think would interest you, Baba, is that I think there's an interesting thing that happens where the younger generation, for some reason, and I'm talking about myself and our generation as well, is that we like to sort of stay separated from the previous generation for whatever reason that is. I don't know if you guys had this with your parent generation, but it's like this whole idea of I guess this came along more in like high school, where all of our parent generation is now to sleep, so it's like now our time in a very weird way. So it's just all of us are up at this time, so it's just our time, so we can talk, and then there's no adults telling us what to do. So I think there was a lot of that, and I think I've like picked that up from like friends as well and stuff like that, which I don't think I've ever mentioned, but it just came to my head right now. And lastly, is this is something I've noticed in university, is that I think it's related to the silence and everything, but I feel like I'm more creative at night. If I have to write a story, if I have to write something, my me at night and me in the morning are completely different person. And me being a very introspective guy, I like to observe both of myself. And I don't like cutting the night person off so early, because I find that the me at night does very interesting things if he's allowed to do these things. And so there's that as well. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
So I had a question, which I have already probably got the answer, but still I'll put the question to you all. Why do you guys are more interested in chatting at night and texting at night? I found, and you see, this is something which has been found in different studies, not only studies, but also you'll find the companies, the cell phone companies, which says that in nighttime, your cost is less, so you can text more. So actually, they're targeting you guys, because I don't text at night. I don't text at the 3 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m. in the morning, except there is somebody in USA. Okay, just forget about him. Okay, so why do probably Ishmael has said one thing is very interesting, sounds very interesting to me, that he got a period of silence. He has nobody to look after or supervise him. His thoughts, I must say, not him, his thoughts at night. So he's free of all external sources. So he can be within himself and go on this one. This is one answer from Ishmael. This is very interesting perspective. But what about Pardim and Adib? Why do you guys, not only you means your generation, text more at night, do more works with his cell phone and other stuff, Twitter and other stuff at night than at the daytime?
Yeah. Fadim, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, especially for texting, I don't know why I check my emails at night. That's just a bad habit. But for texting, I think the nighttime is you go into this like different mindset, you know, and you can have like certain conversations at night that you can't really have during the day. During the day, everyone's, you know, hustling. They're, you know, trying to make it in the world, try to get that bread. But at night, they, you know, everyone's a little exhausted. And Ishmael, it's interesting that you talk about creativity because I feel like I'm very creative when, you know, I don't have a lot of energy. I'm barely hanging on, and I'm on my last sort of, you know, the fuel tank is on the red. I only have so much left in me, and I can really focus because I don't have energy to get distracted. So I think it's, you know, it's because of that. You can have like a, because if you're exhausted, you can have a conversation with someone and not be doing something else. And so you feel, since you're more present in that conversation, you feel you get more value out of it. And then instead of associating that um, that feeling of, hey, I had a really good conversation, to your low energy levels, you associate it with night because that's when you have low energy. So that would be my sort of theory on why people like to text during the night. At least that's what I like to do.
Yeah, fair enough. So what Ishmael and Fadim said, I sort of pretty much agree with. And another thing that I'd add on to that is that, especially when I was in high school, speaking to friends who were in the same country as me. Now it's obviously different because now you have people who are on the other side of the world. Sometimes it just happens to be that the times you are both free is that it's your nighttime. But when it was a different sort of circumstance, what would happen was at night, everyone would be, you knew someone who is online at night is free. They're not doing anything. You have their space. You have that time to talk to them. And once that conversation starts, it generally flows as long as you guys don't fall asleep because you're both there. You're both present in the conversation. And in terms of a generational aspect, I'd say that this is something we might lack, is that when we have a lot of energy throughout the day, when we're speaking to someone and when we're chatting or texting, you will be chatting to 3 or 4 people at the same time. You're not chatting to just one person during the day. That comes back to what Fardim said about having a lot of energy and getting distracted easily. But that's also a problem I think I have, maybe some more people in my generation have, is that we just can't focus on one conversation unless we're really, really tired and really, really sleepy. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I had something to add, which is I think when you're tired and what happens is you're more relaxed at night. So you sort of become more vulnerable and open to people. So you will say things that you will not say in the morning. I think there's terms for this and stuff, which I don't remember. But like, it's like, we call it like late night talks or deep talks or whatever. Like you only do it at night. Like it doesn't happen in the morning. Like that's why, like when you have like sleepovers and like you have friends over, like those conversations and those nights are distinctly different from having like going out with them in the morning and watching a movie or like hanging out. Like it's completely different because you do like stuff that in the morning you could think sometimes they're like absolutely stupid. Like I had friends over like in my birthday, my last birthday, and I remember we did stuff that was like completely stupid. Like I have no idea why we did these things, but we did it, and like we remember it fondly. And it's like we always, like if we talk about it, we're like, oh, remember that time when we did all these stupid things. In terms of why Bangladesh texting, they have this lower rate at night, I think it's not because of our generation. It's targeting the demographic of premik premikas,
Yes.
jara ratre kotha bolte chaye. So it's not like our generation. I guess it is partially our generation because I'm like in our generation there are more people who have premika situations than in your generations.
Nah, bro,
So
because it's because in our generation we don't have jobs. We're unemployed. We don't have to wake up in the morning.
So yeah, you're muted again.
I can just give you these things that it's not that the situation of affair, love, or friendship, or things like that. That may be a part, but it cannot be a huge business area of millions and millions of people are there.
Yes.
So this may be a small bit of percentage of people. So, but one thing made me interesting what Pradeep has said, that when you are bored at night, you want to get stimulated. So you do text or you do say things like this. Why do you get bored at night? Because you have worked throughout the day. Now you need to rest and go into sleep. Why do you feel bored at night? Because your work is over. Now you have the time to sleep. You have to go to sleep and we have to wake up in the morning to start a fresh day. Why do you get bored? What's the reason of getting bored at night?
I think there's partially
That's something really interesting to me. Because what's the reason for that?
I mean, I can say, looking back
This is not a question answer. This is just, I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel bored at night. From my generation, I don't feel bored at night. I just think whatever I've done, what I need to do tomorrow, things like that, or think something creative, or my work, my job, or my research, my teaching, anything regarding my profession, or I talk to my wife, or do something, or read some book, and then go into sleep. But you're telling one word, Pradeep, that is, you get bored at night. That's the curiosity.
Right. I think from what you just said, Jay, you have a lot of things to do in the day. You mentioned your profession, your career, your research that you're doing. Throughout the day, you're doing things. At the end of the day, you're tired. The next day, you have other things to look forward to. And you know that you should sleep early so you can wake up and be productive for that. Whereas I've gotten a job, it's been like 3-4 months. Prior to that, when I did not have a job, there was really not much to look forward to in the day after that. I had university, cool, but university isn't like an all-encompassing sort of activity. You have a lot of free time in the day. So what might happen when you have a lot of free time, at least what happened with me, was I would just say stuff like, well, I don't really have much to do tomorrow. I'll just sleep a bit later. Right now I'm going out with my friends, or I'm having a cool conversation. I might just stay up. And if I don't do anything in the day, at night, I still have energy left over, especially in my like younger age. If I think of high school, I was 18, 19 years old. I was full of energy and I didn't really do much in the day other than school. So I would have a lot of energy left over, and I was staying up till 3 a.m., 2 a.m., even if I had school the next day. And I still had energy the next day, even after being sleep deprived. So that was what it was in my case. What about you guys, Ishman and Fardin?
So I think the whole concept of revenge for staying up late, or whatever the term is, I forgot what the exact term is. It's a Chinese term, which is when I think for you, Pawa, you are very happy with the things you are doing and you feel accomplished when you get them done. So you, like what Adi mentioned, you have a motivation to wake up in the morning. You're happy with how the day has gone. So when it's done, you feel like, okay, like the day is sort of done. So you feel accomplished when you go to bed. Whereas I think for a lot of people, and I may or may not put myself in that category because it's off and on every day, where I feel like I've done enough to, like, it's almost like I feel like sleep is something that has to be earned. And I don't feel like some days I have earned that, like I have earned the right to sleep yet. I have to do a bit more. So there's that. And when it comes to boredom, I would actually flip the question on you, because I know that you take your laptop to bed, which means that you're stimulating your mind while you're in bed, which does not go with the thing where you're saying, I'm not bored at night. You can just keep yourself unmuted.
Okay. Fadim, you haven't gone with the conversation on this board issue. You want to speak something? And
Yeah, I'll say really quick, and then I'll let you address it.
let me put one perspective. It's not me. I'm talking from a generational point of view. It's not me that I have done something. I've been accomplished my day's activity and night's activity. It's not that. But it's not always with me. You see, the current generation or the people who are day laborer, who are working, not working, who is a simple clerk in a office, or who is doing a small job there, they also don't get bored home at night. Bored at night, they're going to sleep. And more interestingly, the difference between your generation and my generation is one perspective is that your activity is within the screen more. We used to play in the outside in the evening every day. In the evening, and used to come back before the Maghrib prayer, before the sunset. And that was the basically ritual of us. And we sit in the bed and read whatever we need to read for the next day's school class or things like that. We go into bed by 10 or 11. 11 was the latest time for us. So 10 and 11, we used to take our dinner at 8:30. So the dinner time has shifted now currently, especially in Bangladesh. But what I found in Western world, in USA and other areas, they do their dinner time at just after sunset. They go into bed by 10. The highest is 9 actually. They woke up in the very early in the morning. Most of the doctors with whom I worked there, they woke up very early in the morning, even at 4:30 and 5, and go to their office before the sun rises. Those are the so you see, the work schedule and other things is one thing, and still I want the again I'll go to further regarding this thing.
Yeah, I'll just say that I think number one, people underestimate what it means to have a full-time job. I have a full-time job right now, and every time, and I was working over the summer as well. And 40 hours a week is a lot, especially if you're doing anything like that level of attention, that level of, being in a routine, and just being responsible for stuff takes a lot of energy, which I think it doesn't really happen in school. My hot take is that school is like very easy, like regardless. So you don't really have to be on your A game, and like nothing happens if you like fail a course. No one says anything, but if you don't do your job properly, your boss is gonna call you and be like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And so I think there's that. For most people with a full-time job, with a family, they have more responsibilities in the day, and which means that even if they wanted to, they don't really have that opportunity to stay up late. And also they have stuff to do in the morning. When I have meetings, when my calendar is packed, I don't mess around. I don't stay up on my phone and stuff. I go to sleep because I know I have that external responsibility. But to dovetail with what Ishmael said, I think for a lot of people in my generation, especially this age where they're either in university, end of school, they don't know what exactly they're like. It's a very interesting and confusing transitionary phase where most of your life you have been told that you go to school, you get good marks, and that's it. And then for a lot of people that doesn't work, because again, not everyone's going to be really good academically, and so they won't do very good in school, and they won't know what subjects they want to study. Even the topic about career, this is the topic that I'm very passionate about. I read like in the last year about like 6 to 7 books on how do I design a career that I like, that like fits with my personality, so on and so forth. And I think the information about career building is so limited In my friend group, I'm sort of the guy who everyone goes to with their career questions. And I'm like, what do I know? I read like some books, but even that is, being helpful to people. I think it shows that there's such a lack of information. And to tie that back to sleep is that when you are so unsure about like, what am I doing? When you're doing a job, everyone is very clear on why they're doing the job. They need to get paid, for the most part, right? But for like university, they're like, okay, I can do this class, but then do I really need to do this class? Or like, how does this tie, relate to my future activities? Or I think everyone's just very, very has a high level of background anxiety. And I think, especially at night when you're alone with your own thoughts and, these questions come gripping at you, it's like, hey, answer me. But you don't have answers, but you do have your phone to distract you. And I think that really plays into it. That's just my theory. I don't know. I might be completely off.
No, that's facts. I'd just like to bounce off one thing of what Farmweeb said. Following getting a job or any sort of external responsibility, which you can't really control, which is as severe as that, you start to find this sort of perspective. You can put a lot of things in an order of priorities in your daily life. And even if it's not a full-time job, even if you have a part-time job, it gives you a perspective of saying, hey, this is something that I don't want to lose. And this is something I need to do well in if I want to keep getting paid. And I need to be productive at that. So I might as well sleep early, get up on time, get to work, and get that bread. Again, as Fardim said. So I just want to use that opportunity to sort of, Uncle, if you have something more to say, please go ahead.
Really something interesting that I found in current present discussions with Fardim and you guys, that one thing I found that the questioning yourself is something which you two have raised. That's really something very intriguing, because I really like that. I always talk with Ishmael that question is the thing, the human being has one capacity which others do not. It is a question. Animal cannot make questions, actually. Yes, animal can make questions at time to you, that when you are going to feed me, they will come. Because they will come with the very basic things, basic instincts, feeding and sleeping, and pooing. So these are the things where they will come to you. I got a couple of cats, I know from them, my experiences from them. Because one of the cat used to get up very early in the morning, which lives in our bedroom, and it will start jumping over me and coming to me, so that because it wants to poo. So I have to get very early in the morning at 4 a.m. or 4:30, I have to bring him to his area, that designated area, where he'll pass his stool and then come back. But the question, and you have said one thing, that what I want to do in life, that's a basic question. Actually, most of our curriculum lacks. They don't, in our study, in our curriculum, in our student life, or in your school, or even in your university. But for you guys, you got a separate brand of university where it really teaches you, question yourself. For us, the question was, when I was in class 12, where we want to go. I had the opportunity to go to the army, as from the character background. I have not chosen that. But then when I read in the medical school, I asked my friends that what you want to be in your life. What's the aim of your life? Interestingly, it was the internship, later part of the internship of my life. I asked them these very questions, and no one could give me answer. So nobody was thinking on that. And I'm really glad that you raised the question within yourself. And still you will find, and as Fardim said, still you will find that bringing out the answer of these questions from within yourself is lacking among most of the generations. It's with you and me. And there lies another issue of today's our discussion is the parenting. So let's bring that parenting in.
Right. Actually,
I had
just as you said that, I was just about to ask the next question on parenting. So I'm glad you made that shift. That was very astute of you, Ishmam.
So
but I
that's-
had something regarding to sleep or the previous conversation that we were having, which is one was just a comment on, I think a lot of people think about the fact of what they want to do and what is the point of life, what is the aim in life, and blah, blah, blah. But it's a very hard question to answer, which is why I don't think I have the answer. If someone asked me that, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to answer it.
So
Even if I think about it, and I think a lot of people distract themselves from it, including myself. But I guess we can skip over this question, but I just wanted to know how your sleep cycle was, / what did you do at night when you were in university or like medical college? Because that was, and then we can go into parenting.
Okay. I just told you before that I used to, but interesting that first thing is that I used to do some extracurricular activities. That is, I was doing drama. I was with a drama group. So for drama, I used to rehearsal at night, and for that reason, we have to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning even, and cleaning the stage and other stuffs and coming back to the room. But for medical school, we had a lecture at 7 a.m. in the morning. I don't feel I've skipped a single lecture in my life. I was not a very brilliant student. I'm just an ordinary who used to pass. I've never stood in what we call our stand in the position of university. So, but I used to do that. So that wake up time was fixed for me, and still today, if I don't wake up at regular time, it's definitely, Ishmael can recall, it's something unusual with me.
You wake up earlier on Fridays though, for
Yeah.
some reason.
Even though if I work for some reason to make some slides or presentation, even after 4 a.m. in the morning, I woke up before 7. And this habit I have actually built up from the 4th year of my school life. Before that, I was a night owl. I used to read at night. I used to go throughout the night. But later on, I found that no, that's not really helpful for me.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. That was part 1 of 2 parts of our conversation with my father. The next one is going to be on parenting. We're going to have it up on the 20th. If you're watching after the 20th, it's already up, and I'll have it linked here or there. Other than that, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want notifications when the next video comes out, do press the bell button. And that's been it from Idea Khichuri. Stay safe and keep cooking.